What's going on, fellow zombies? Are we alive yet or are you awake yet? It's about, a few minutes before 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It's still the 4th of March, 2025 for a Tuesday. I'm having issues regarding YouTube and its streaming services. I think that there was an appointment, but it seems like they've got a long wait regarding streaming services. So I'm not able to do the live feed as I want to. Like maybe around 12 or 1 o'clock in the morning. Like normally I get up and try to do, but now I can't. Damn system won't let me do it, so now I'm stuck doing the tapes. There goes the flash drives. Okay. And earlier today I was going over the videos from the other independents. We're picking up on what tonight's meeting's going to be about. Bullshit. Trump and his speech to the nation. I'm not quite sure what kind of con job he's going to be putting on people left and right. But a couple of hours he's going to be posting it, and everyone else is going to be doing a live feed and streaming and jamming up all the social platforms. Mine's a little bit delayed at this point. A lot delayed at this. Apparently on Hannity last night on Fox News, J.D. Vance was on there. And he was trying to convey what Trump was supposed to be saying and doing and trying to do damage control, and even lied like crazy that Trump was going to do freedom of speech. He said so. I mean, he was talking about it. I'm going to include the clips on my video here. But what I was hearing from one of the other independents who keeps track of Truth Social, Trump's not buying it. He's attacking freedom of speech. I'll put that video link on there too. I just want to read off what I found out and I put up there because of what Trump was saying. If I can get past the damn commercials at this point. Okay. On Truth Social. Trump said all federal funding will stop for any college, school, or university that allows illegal protests. Agitators will be imprisoned or permanently sent back to the country from which they came. American students will be permanently expelled or, depending upon the crime, arrested. No masks. Thank you for your attention to this matter. He says through J.D. Vance, his vice president, that he's for freedom of speech. This is freedom of speech? I took a screen copy of that, and I already put it on my community page. What does the First Amendment guarantee? All right, boys and girls, shall we go for this one again? And I'll post that one on there. Okay, according to the ConstitutionCenter.org. According to the Constitution.org for the First Amendment, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press or the right of the people peacefully to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. Meaning, if they're protesting, they have a redress of grievances. They have grievances against not the Constitution, but of the government, or what the government is doing, whether it be local, whether it be by state, or by federal. Past couple of years, what have we been seeing more and more of? Because of the situation happening over at the Middle East, and we are talking about the Palestinian-Israeli situation. Well, I'm trying to put it nice and polite as I possibly can, because if I had put it into a heavier term, I'd say a massacre at this point of the Palestinian people. But the Palestinian people, including Hamas, are both doing this. And I don't know what the outcome, I don't know what the preferred outcome is. For them not to do it, to get their grievances addressed. But we have a war situation happening in the Middle East, boys and girls. We've had it. We've had it long going, but spurts at this point. But even it carried out into the states of America. It carried out into campuses where students usually would protest or air out their grievances without any harm. If they were doing it peacefully, fine. But unfortunately, you get agitators over there who want to cause trouble. Doesn't matter which particular side. If they're agitators, they're causing trouble. And this, guess what? Everything else goes hell in a handbasket. So now we get to have everybody arrested. But if they're just marching around or showing signs without impeding people or students going through campuses or through public spaces, but promoting their signage on public spaces, it's usually up to the local to determine how far they can go, where they can go, and do they need permits. We are guaranteed under Constitution. I have a right to redress a grievance to the government. I'm doing it all the time, one form or another. The current administration came in. They knew what they were getting themselves into. They just didn't care to admit it to themselves. And the other people who gladly wanted the chaos and confusion, or are they happy now with it? Because now we got more chaos and confusion and people lying to each other. And now we got a government being gutted by a contractor. He's not an official. He's not elected. Wasn't recognized by the Constitution. He's a contractor hired by Trump. And now this contractor is gutting the government. And Trump's authorizing it. Trump's authorizing the gutting of the U.S. Constitution and the federal government through a contractor. And I wonder how come we got people protesting constantly. And I kept telling these people, look, you're to blame for it, part of it. You knew this, you knew what was going on, you voted for it, but you just didn't want to admit it. But even after you admit it, what do you do then? What are your options? Well, we can't do the list of succession because every one of them is a damn Trumplicant. Senate, Congress, House, Oval Office, Trumplicant. And Trump's saying that he supports the freedom of speech only if it allows him to be not harmed in any way, shape, or form. Me calling him a trash bag all the damn time, that would be harm. But he's acting as trash. Is it considered political or personal attack? If I had said something about his family, that would have been considered a personal attack. But his actions as president are more than questionable. We got this into the office. Now we have to deal with it for 4 years unless Congress decides to do something rather rash and make a constitutional amendment to extend the presidency or eliminate the Constitution altogether. I'm not joking. They've been talking about this. Closed doors. People have been talking about it on the streets. Social media have been talking about it. Even the conservative circles have been talking about it. The liberal / libtard / wokeisms were pleading We have democracy, we have capitalism going crazy and amok and destroying the Constitution. When they start going against the major fundamental I have an issue with, petitioning the government for a redress of grievances, even making law to respect establishment of religion, Congress, yeah, federal. But you know where it didn't say? The states. Are the states allowed to make an establishment of religion? Doesn't that go against the federal constitution? Federal versus state rights. Federal versus state rights. Think about it, people. Can you? Really, can you? Can you think that the actual state that you're living in right now is not going to be declaring that your religion is null and void? Or that you cannot speak any other language but English? Or if you are of any other heritage except for white? Anything else doesn't matter. You can be nearly white and be declared as Native American, but guess what? You're a foreigner. You can be black and considered a foreigner. You could be Spanish or Latina. You're a foreigner. You can show birth certificates that you've gone for generations living in this country. You're a foreigner. We have no racism, declared a lot of people in Congress and the Oval Office at times. You're a foreigner. We foreigners, we white people came over from Europe because we thought this was going to be our land to conquer. You're a foreigner. Native American tribes have been here a lot longer than the foreigner white people, foreigner Latina, foreigner black, or slanted. You guys just never understand that we are all foreigners to each other, but we're all related to each other as human beings. But with our extremism going crazy at this point, it doesn't matter who or what you are. They're even threatening to take out, and they tried to do an executive order to take out birthright, and that's part of the Constitution. You can't do that. Not unless they make an amendment to do so in the first place. They're not touching the 14th Amendment at all on that one. So consider that probably protected at this point. If they started doing that, now the Supreme Court's going against the Constitution of the United States. They're a traitor. Just like the White House right now. The people we voted in, even though we were warned about them, we voted them in. They're a traitor to the Constitution of the United States. So, am I addressing this to the rest of the world, or to the country, United States, or just my little neck of the woods? Or maybe just to me, or to the future? What was the correct perspective and viewpoint of us? What is it supposed to be? And under whose particular conditions? Under what were we supposed to have been? And quite frankly, did they actually give a shit about it? I don't think so. I don't think we ever actually give a shit about it. Because right now, you're just a foreigner. You're a traitor. One way or another, you're considered a traitor to something or someone. Or, flip it around, you're a patriot to one thing or another. You look at human history. And I mean look at human history. Every damn country out there has got their own story. Who's right, who's wrong. We have somebody who's trying to take away education. Getting rid of an education department. Who supports loans and grants to those who want to go to college to get an education. We have a Pentagon being gutted. We already have National Weather Service on the fritz. FAA is having planes crashing on them left and right. National Transportation Safety Board is a joke. Departments that we lived and survived on, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. They called it entitlements. They were necessary. No, according to some contractor, they're open season. We have too much waste. Yeah, I wonder where and I wonder why. Pentagon wants more and more. We fear that there's going to be a war coming up. We have to be ready. We have to be ready. We have to be. Because the other places are arming up, we have to have more. Don't you know we're the American empire? An empire, it's shrinking down to borders. Northern border and southern border. I wonder what would happen. Prime Minister, Canadian Prime Minister Trudeau. A question. Besides economic, would you care for traipsing over a border somewhere? Making your presence known in one form or another? And what about the President of Mexico? Oh, that fox. Claudia Sheinbaum? Claudia Sheinbaum Pardo. Cool. President Pardo, if I may ask, just what exactly did you have in mind besides tariffs or the U.S.? I mean, after all, you are in the southern border area. We're having a field day concerning about drugs we're manufacturing and guns we're manufacturing and handing over to you guys somehow. Or you guys are smuggling it through tunnels that you keep discovering. But the horrible thing is you're allowing people to cross the borders to work over here in order to live over here. In the viewpoint of the Trumplicans, they're all dirty traitors to the Trump. They're all dirty traitors to the United States. How dare you? Of course, I could go off on a major tirade like every other damn Trumplican has. And blame. That's how it is, isn't it? Constantly blame President Pardo. We blame you for something. Question, what did you do exactly? You're the president of Mexico. Ah, okay, that's the problem. Could you be the 52nd state? Could we enlist the trash bag of the POTUS right now and the Muscovite to possibly allow admission of Mexico into the United States as the 52nd after we get Canada? See, Canadian Prime Minister Trudeau, sir, according to the Muscovites, according to the Trumplicans, you're the 51st state. After we get Canada, after we get Mexico, then maybe we'll work our way down Central America. Ooh! Don't you love that name? Central America. Of course, keep the A in there and then not take out the A. If you take out the A, it just becomes America. I don't know. Do you think you could deal with that one? Guatemala? Honduras? Panama? Costa Rica? How about Colombia? Brazil? We could take care of them too. They're South Americans. Ah, but the name! The name, my dear! America. See, if we're dealing with the Muscovite logic at this point over here, we're dealing with the Trumplicate logic at this point over here. With the lunacy and insanity that we dumbass Americans had voted into office to unleash holy terror on everybody these days. While Putin is laughing his ass off. Not to mention Xi Jinping, not to mention the shithead in North Korea and every other shithead autocracy out there. Okay? How about America owns the continent? How about we destroy everything in the process, slash and burn? Nothing, no produce, no oxygen replenitions, no weather stabilizations. Just chaos, confusion, head straight down from Alaska, going through Canada, down to Argentina. How about we do that? How long do you think it'll take before America exhausts its resources and everybody else exhausts its resources before we actually try to declare ourselves a winner? If we have a Trumplicant in office during that time and still controlling the United States Congress and the Supreme Court while destroying or rewriting the U.S. Constitution to make everything legal under their insanity. You think I might be joking about this one, and at one time in life, or in another alternate future, it would be a joke. This is what scares the hell out of me, folks. See, I can think crazy as well. I can think out the box in this one, and it scares the hell out of people left and right. We go to Google Maps. And I'm pulling up the world. And I'm saying this tiny globe in a huge universe that we're stuck on. They're endlessly fighting each other for limited resources. If I happen to put this into a format where it's not by layers, but just by state, by boundaries, I could do that. I probably should do that. Okay, we're back here, and I'm going to put it on map. Give me 1 second. I have a dog that needs my attention. I'm back. I had to pet her, get her calmed down a little bit. I'm not governed by the Trumplicant or the trash bag in the Oval Office, nor am I threatened just yet by the Muscovite, who's the contractor dedicated to destroying the U.S. government in any way, shape, or form. No, I am talking to the Canadian Prime Minister and the Mexican President, and then also to the other country leaders of Central and South America. By the insanity of the Trumplicant Party, and by those who follow it like crazy, they'd rather close the borders of the United States than just for us to deal with it and stay out of United Nations and stay out of NATO. I think, what was it, Prime Minister Chamberlain back in the 30s allowed that to happen, and England was in dire straits when Nazi Germany came up and started taking territory left and right. Continued a war that stopped for about a decade or two. Rebuilt, rearmed, and went nuts again. And we're still dealing with the remnants one way or another. And this is what we're facing, boys and girls. On a planet with limited resources, and we're trying to kill each other left and right. I still have an issue regarding the Gulf name change, Gulf of America. Now, granted, in different areas of the world, they have their own names for their territory, for the waters that they sail across. And yes, they call it that. Gulf of Oman, Persian Gulf, Indian Ocean, South China Seas, East China Sea, Yellow Sea, Sea of Japan. There are oceans out there that are named for different territories of countries. Indian Ocean extends as far as Australia, Madagascar, south. Get beyond that, you're getting into Antarctic waters. Weird geography lesson we're having here. On how we're supposed to be able to deal and cope with all this stuff. Tasmanian Sea. And how we're supposed to be dealing with this one, I wonder. Yeah, you see, I can try to think and talk about these things. Gulf of Alaska. Well, it's a state anyway. Bering Sea. Okay, well, between Russia and Alaska. The Atlantic waters. Well, it could have been America's waters. I understand about the buffer zone that the international the countries have set, agreed to internationally concerning about what territory is considered sovereign and what's not. But to go after countries, to go after everybody else, I'm nervous what the so-called President of the United States has it in for us. Yeah, I am nervous about that because I don't know what the hell we're going to be doing after this. And it should scare the living crap out of me. Ask me a question. Would I want Canada to be our state? Canada's sovereign territory. They had the wars back in the 17 and 1800s over this stuff. They made it clear there's territories that's sovereign territory, and we had honored it for over a century and some change. Mexico had part of the American territories. We warred over it. And since we've already got established territories, would we want Mexico? And with the racism happening at this point, would we want anything of Mexico? I grew up in California. This state used to be Mexican territory. Granted, it was Native American until Spanish came over here and screwed things up left and right. But we had Indian tribes going to and from. Sometimes they had their own established territories, others they didn't. But I grew up under a Latina state, basically. I lived in the San Fernando Valley 38 years. Had to move out to the Antelope Valley, to the armpit of California. But even there, we still have Mexican influences. We still have the culture out there, one way or another. As we had the culture in San Fernando, we had culture everywhere else in California. Some people just don't like it. I do. Some food I can deal with. I grew up with. I didn't mind some of them. I didn't mind. I did mind the racism that happened in certain areas. When you get locked into certain communities and you keep thinking everybody else is an enemy or territory. And San Fernando Valley was like that. You pass through, but living in that area, you get the racism. Didn't matter which or who or what you were. She must be obeyed. I'm sorry this has taken way too long. My apologies for the lengthy, lengthy talk here. Uh, Shorten it up a bit. Just wanted to show a few things. Shall we go to Google Maps? And we head into Southern California region. And we go to the wedge, Desert Wedge, down below it to the San Fernando Valley. You can type that into the Google search engine, you know that. And take a look at the valley, not with all the, not with the usual default layers, but just as satellite. This was home for 38 years. I was born in Huntington Park. A couple of years later, my family moved out here. A lot of videos, a lot of history. Every time I keep seeing this place, I get nostalgic, sick to my stomach, and wish to God I was back there. You know, back in time where I knew the place and grew up living in it. Place they would call North Hollywood. Moved from there to close to San Fernando, but it was called Arleta. It was right by the 5 freeway and Oxnard exit and entrance. It was home for a time, for a few years. Then moved over to Granada Hills, right by the 118 freeway up north, right by a high school. After that, a few other houses in Granada Hills, touch of Northridge. What used to be called Sepulveda, now they call it North Hills, just for the damn real estate market and prices and stuff. They couldn't stand Sepulveda because it was a denigrating name. Oh, controversies over that one. Eventually, before I moved out of the valley for about 12 years, I lived in a neighborhood called Reseda, West End. 38 years, my brother and I would travel this place. Memorial. People in the bottom. The lady is my mama, and the other guy down below is my big brother, David. Dave passed 2018, while back in 2013. Yeah. Keeping my dogs up there too. Ashes. We lived a lot of areas in 38 years. Ma didn't do much traveling. My brother and I did. We loved to travel. And a chance to get out of the house away from Ma. But even that, going in different neighborhoods, looking at different areas we used to live in, and they had changed over the 38 years. I mean, you could live in one area and not realizing that other portions of the area that you grew up in changed more so than what you realized. or heard about. Getting out of here about 05 into the Wedge, the Antelope Valley. That's where they passed in. I've been stuck out here in the boondocks ever since. Right next to Edwards. Another little armpit called Rosamond. Home sweet home. For right now, but that's home. There have been a lot of Mexican influences. There have been a lot of influences of other cultures in this place. I mean, you grew up in a cosmopolitan area. You get everybody's food, everybody's culture. You meet a lot of people, a lot of different people. Become pluralistic, multicultural. You don't have to go to the other countries. The other countries we're living in here. I can deal with South American. I can deal with Hawaiian. Well, Hawaiian's still in the United States territory. Caribbean. I think there was like a couple of areas that was Deutsch. I'm not quite sure which parts of Southern California were. Probably the San Gabriel area. Or even near Burbank. But portions of people's cultures you'd come across in different shops, different restaurants. The smells, the aromas, sometimes overwhelming. If I was going to call us the great American melting pot on the West, I would. New York's a melting pot. I don't get it with the anger. I don't get it with the hatred unless we're dealing with a lot of resentments towards everybody else's culture because of fear, indifference, ignorance, and plain stupidity. For a long while, we've had our gang wars in different portions of the Southland. You didn't cross someone else's territory if you had a different color or song or something that pissed people off. And yeah, I'd heard it on the radios, I'd seen it in the papers, television, heard the discussions, and then they had to come out with the internet. And then when we have the internet, and then we get the racism coming on the internet. Yeah, she must be obeyed. My dog. My other videos will be showing her on there. I'm not going to give her any screen time. But I am going to take care of her at this point. Again. I just wanted to get this off my chest, guys. Trump's a maniac. Everybody else who voted for the guy is a maniac. I'm supposed to have pity for him. All I have is disgust. That's all I have. It's going to be gross when we hear about the political speech tonight. And this video is going to be viewed afterwards. So. My apologies to the world for America's stupidity. I don't know what made us vote in the chaos and confusion. Chaos is the trash bag and confusion is the Muscovite. I'm sorry, guys. We did this to you.